So today we now have some populated of these create amendment tasks. Yesterday, if you remember, we did that task. I'll kind of go through it again. When we know that a closing is going to be delayed, we go to the property and we find this task button, and we have to trigger task, which is this one icon with the green plus sign. We would click that, and then we would do is the is closing on schedule task. We would put the reason in the task when it opens and the new closing date. Now this task is only able to be used when we need to extend the close date. Now we did that yesterday, so we pushed out closing to the 23rd. Yesterday it said January 20th. Then it goes over to the asset manager, and then they have to approve it on their end. And once they approve the task, we then get a new task stating create amendment task. So now the next step we need is to create the amendment, which we already did yesterday, if you recall, and I'll open that so you can see that now. We complete this document, and we pushed closing from the 20th to the 23rd. And remember, this date up here, the entered into agreement date, is the last page of fully executed, and you can find the fully executed contracts in the messaging in Equator if you don't have it from me. You put the date that you created the amendment, the property address as shown on the Equator website, the buyer's names as shown either on the fully executed contract or on the offer screen within the property in Equator. Seller's name for this bank is always Fannie Mae, and make sure you put the REO ID number. Then I don't like to send it off to the buyers to be editable, so we have to make it uneditable. So I printed it to PDF, and then it comes up like this. We sent it out. We haven't gotten it back from the buyers yet. We like to get it back from the buyers same day. So this one is slightly delayed. However, we're going to, now that we open the create amendment task, it gives us this. This is an unapproved version. We cannot simply send this document out. We have to use the approved document that I'll throw into Dropbox. So all we do is make sure that the dates are the same as the one we created, January 20th to January 23rd, December 8th, the address. That's all fine. So we just do save and submit now. Now we'll get a new task after that, send signed amendment. That's where we will upload the buyer signed amendment. And again, we have to make sure that they haven't changed anything, they haven't written anything additional on it. Sometimes they like to request other things on the bottom. Only what we send to them are we allowed to upload with a signature on it. Any other changes, we need to tell them that the other changes are not approved, and if they have any additional requests, that must be handled with a separate amendment form. So we only have approval to send the current changes in. And I will show you an example on that. There's another property that I have, and we can do that now actually. So we'll just wait for that signed amendment. We'll upload that when we get it back. I did just email them and ask them for an update on it. Now the other create amendment task is this 7031 West Crane Street. Now yesterday I sent these buyers close date extension because I know that we weren't going to meet the close date. They sent back the signed copy of what I typed up, but if you look, they crossed off other and they completed additional things. Well, again, we only had approval to extend the close date on this one from the 23rd to the 30th. They are requesting something else. Since we don't have approval for that, what I had to tell them is the amendment you sent has changes. If you are also asking for an extension to the mortgage contingency, that needs to be done on a separate amendment. Please send me back two amendments, one for the close date and one for the mortgage contingency extension. The system is locked until we first satisfied the close date extension. They then sent back two amendments. The first one Address is just the close date. She took all information off. That's perfect. So now we can go ahead. We can create this amendment that they approved in the system for the close date. Save and submit now. And then sometimes it doesn't refresh right away, so let's refresh our screen. Now we have the send signed amendment task. We have to satisfy the first task before we can request an additional extension on anything else. So first we're going to take care of the close date extension. Just put signed close date extension. Click upload. Save and submit now. Let's refresh it to make sure it has gone away. It's taking a moment. Now that's gone. Now we will need to work on completing the amendment for their separate request. So let's open their separate request up. We're done with this one. The next one is extension of mortgage contingency until 1/28/15. Now what we need to do is make sure that the names are presenting, the address is presenting, and this date is presenting just as it needs to present in the system. So a good way to do this, again, is go to the offer screen. And I know it's a multiple step process, but it's very important that we make sure that nothing, not even a letter was left out of their name or the date is 1 day off on anything, because if it gets rejected, again, we get an F on the assignment. It's a big deal. So we can click the view online when we look at the accepted offer. And here we are with the offer screen. Now the top portion are the buyer's names, and remember they're grayed out, we can't edit those. So let's compare the spelling to both buyers. See, and there's a problem. The buyer's name on this amendment has Mohammed, and on the offer screen it's Mohamed. So at this point, unfortunately, I just made a mistake and I uploaded the amendment without double checking, and there you go. Point taken right there. So let's just leave it be for now, see what happens. So, however, let's just move on. Moving on to requesting the mortgage contingency extension. You cannot trigger task for that specific, for mortgage contingency extensions, attorney review, or inspection extensions. That literally needs to be done by going to the offer, finding the accepted offer, clicking edit. And then when it opens, you find the mortgage contingency area, which is towards the bottom, and it says contingency financing date January 21st, 2015. Well, they are requesting to January 28th, 2015. So let's click the 28th, and then we can put in the notes mortgage contingency extension request due to inability to dewinterize. And you would know the reason because you would be CC'd on the message. or I would tell you, request the financing contingency extension because of so and so reason, and then you would just go ahead and type that in. So sent to servicer. Now let's kind of address the spelling of the buyer's name. Oh, we're in the wrong one. Let's go to Crane. Let's find fully executed, which is right here. And it says Mohammed. So let's just leave it alone. Let's see what happens. Now that we edited the offer, it says negotiating. And so what happens is the sales rep, who is up here, Debbie McFarlane, she is going to receive the request, and then she will send us a create amendment task, and then we can upload the additional mortgage contingency extension request. So we're just waiting on that. Once we have that, we'll create the amendment. As I showed you, we already have the signed amendment, so we just create it, and then on the new task, the upload amendment task, we'll just upload it there. So that's pretty much the sum of it all with create amendment tasks. And now when I'm going to be getting these, I'll start forwarding them to you and asking you to get them completed.